September 1683. Beneath Vienna's final defenses, Ottoman miners packed a hidden chamber with powder and prepared to erase an entire bastion in seconds. Directly above them, exhausted defenders felt the stones move under their boots. They knew what that trembling meant, but not where the explosion would come. Yet beyond the horizon, another force was moving toward Vienna. The question was brutally simple: would the rescuers arrive before the fire underground reached the wall? 2 months earlier, Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa had driven an immense Ottoman host up the Danube, aiming at the Habsburg capital before Europe could organize. By mid-July, the army had reached Vienna. Its camp spread across fields and villages, so completely that the city appeared to sit inside another moving city. Emperor Leopold had already left with his court. For those who remained, the departure felt less like strategy than confirmation that Vienna might not survive. To deny the attackers cover, defenders cleared ground outside the walls. Homes, gardens, and workshops became empty space measured for cannon fire. Command fell to Ernst Rüdiger von Starhemberg. He had fewer men than the walls demanded, but he answered the demand for surrender with preparation, not ceremony. Vienna's medieval walls had been rebuilt into angled bastions designed to resist cannon fire. But geometry could not solve the problem beneath the ground. Ottoman engineers answered the bastions with trenches. Each night they pushed zigzag lines closer, shielding men from direct fire and shortening the distance to the walls. Then the siege went underground. Teams dug toward the bastions, listening for enemy countermines while carrying powder into chambers no cannon could reach. Viennese counterminers worked by sound. In dark galleries, they placed bowls of water on the ground and watched for ripples made by picks beyond the earth. Inside Vienna, the siege reduced life to inventories: bread, powder, clean water, able bodies. Every list became shorter while the walls demanded more each day. Wounds were only part of the danger. Crowded shelters, summer heat, and contaminated streets spread sickness through civilians and soldiers already weakened by hunger. Kara Mustafa believed pressure would finish the city. Mining and repeated assaults promised a breach, but every day spent digging also gave a relief army time. When a mine opened a crater, assault troops rushed before the dust settled. Defenders had minutes to turn broken masonry into a new wall made of bodies and timber. Starhemberg moved constantly between threatened sectors, treating every breach as temporary. His real weapon was not confidence, but the refusal to let panic become a plan. Soldiers could not do it alone. Laborers, apprentices, women, and older men carried stone, filled baskets, moved water, and rebuilt defenses under fire. At night, watchers searched the western hills for any sign of help. Signals rose from the city, but darkness returned no answer they could trust. Help required an alliance that rarely moved as one. Polish, Austrian, Bavarian, Saxon, and other German forces had different commanders, routes, supplies, and political fears. Jan III Sobieski had promised to aid the emperor if Vienna were threatened. Honoring that promise meant carrying Poland's army far from home into another ruler's crisis. The relief army marched through heat, mud, and broken roads, pulling guns and supply wagons toward Vienna, while every delay favored the miners beneath the city. Reports of the approaching coalition reached Kara Mustafa. He now faced two clocks: break Vienna quickly, or turn away from the walls and prepare for battle. By September, entire sections of the defense were held by men who had barely slept. Units existed on paper, but their positions were filled by whoever could still stand. Near the El Bel bastion, Ottoman sappers prepared larger chambers for a final rupture. If those mines fired together, the remaining defenses could become an open road. Counterminers finally broke into one enemy gallery and found prepared powder. They had discovered the danger, but discovery meant little unless every chamber could be reached in time. On the night of September 11th, watchers finally saw fires on the Kahlenberg Heights. For the first time in weeks, the darkness answered back. From Kahlenberg, Sobieski could see the entire problem: Vienna below, the Ottoman camp around it, and difficult ground between his cavalry and the battlefield. The Allied army formed three broad wings. German forces would press from the left, while Polish troops crossed rougher ground toward the Ottoman right. Before anyone could charge, guns and infantry had to descend through the Vienna woods. Narrow tracks turned deployment into another contest against time and terrain. The Allied commanders agreed on one necessity: attack immediately. Waiting would improve their formation, But it might also give the Ottoman minds one more night. Before sunrise on September 12th, the army gathered on Kallenberg. Prayer orders and the final distribution of powder ended almost together. Even as the relief army descended, Ottoman troops continued attacking Vienna. Kara Mustafa was attempting to win the siege, while the battle to save it had already begun. On the Allied left, Imperial and German infantry descended through vineyards and broken ground, forcing Ottoman positions village by village, rather than sweeping them aside. Ottoman troops resisted from walls, gardens, and fortified villages. Each position consumed time, and Vienna's defenders could hear the battle without knowing who was winning. Kara Mustafa shifted reserves toward the hills, but large numbers remained tied to trenches, mines, and the final pressure on Vienna. His siege machinery had become a trap. Inside the city, the cannonade changed direction. Defenders realized some guns were firing away from Vienna, but no one yet knew whether help was advancing or failing. Hour by hour, the coalition widened its foothold. Infantry and guns pushed the Ottoman line downhill, creating the open ground Sobieski's cavalry would need. On the right, Polish infantry crossed ravines and wooded slopes that cavalry could not safely use. Their advance protected the flank of the attack still waiting above. By late afternoon, Polish forces reached open ground near Gersthof. For the first time that day, thousands of horsemen could form without being broken by woods and vineyards. Before committing the entire cavalry, smaller mounted groups tested the slope and the Ottoman response. A hidden ditch or soft field could destroy the charge before contact. The Ottoman line had fought since morning while siege units continued working near Vienna. Men, horses, and messengers were now moving through a battlefield that no longer had a secure rear. From his pavilion, Kara Mustafa could still see Vienna within reach. That closeness made retreat feel impossible, even as the battle behind the siege turned against him. Sobieski now saw the Ottoman right bending and the camp exposed. Waiting promised a cleaner formation, attacking before sunset promised surprise, shock, and no second chance. Nearly 18,000 Allied horsemen formed across the slope, with several thousand Polish hussars at the striking center. The charge would be enormous, but not exclusively Polish. The hussars carried long hollow lances for the first impact, then curved sabers for the fight inside a broken formation. Their wings were symbols, not magic. For a moment, the battlefield narrowed to leather, breath, and metal. Then Sobieski gave the order, and an entire hillside began moving at once. The first ranks walked, then trotted, then accelerated. Formation mattered more than speed until the final distance, when thousands of horses became a single advancing weight. Polish, Austrian, and German cavalry descended together across a front wide enough to overwhelm local defenses. The sight mattered before the first lance struck. When the hussars struck, they hit troops already pressured by infantry and artillery. The charge was decisive because the entire day had prepared the line to break. The Ottoman right gave way and retreat spread faster than orders could contain it. Once the camp roads filled, reserves, artillery, and fugitives collided with one another. Cavalry poured into the camp, where open formations dissolved among tents, wagons, animals, and abandoned guns. The battle became pursuit before sunset had ended. Seeing the Ottoman line collapse, Vienna's defenders opened the gates and struck outward. After weeks of absorbing pressure, the city finally pushed back. Kara Mustafa abandoned the camp before capture, carrying what authority he could preserve. Vienna remained behind him, closer than any Ottoman army would bring it again. By nightfall, the vast Ottoman camp belonged to the victors. Fires, stores, artillery, and thousands of abandoned objects marked how quickly an organized siege had vanished. Sobieski entered the Grand Vizier's pavilion and reported the victory with a famous reversal of Caesar. They came, they saw, and God conquered. Morning revealed a saved city, but not an untouched one. Breaches, graves, burned districts, and exhausted survivors stood beside the fact that Vienna still existed. The charge became the image history remembered. But Vienna was saved by a chain. Miners found, walls rebuilt, alliances formed, infantry advanced, and cavalry struck last. Vienna's relief did not end the war. It shifted momentum into a longer struggle that expanded Habsburg power, while Poland's celebrated victory could not secure Poland's own future. The deeper lesson of Vienna is not that heroes always arrive. It is that ordinary people sometimes hold one last wall long enough for help to become history.